Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Afterthought. We're laughing because Faith isn't ready for 10 minutes to jump into this podcast. And I was just over here drinking coffee,
doing your own
my
thing.
pumpkin spice coffee, which is...
It's the fall season.
It's the time of year. Dude, everyone's loving the podcast, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, man. The amount of comments. By the way, leave us some comments. We want to know on YouTube. Let us know.
Yeah, we got some comments about the corn nuts last week. Yes, let's go.
The Gardettos, the shepherd's pie. The amount of people texting this week going, we're bringing Austin shepherd's pie. I'm like, don't forget his dad.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's welcome.
Well, buddy, episode 5, we always jump in with some random questions today. So you've got some random questions. I'm assuming.
I do. Okay. I got 5 questions.
Okay.
I just felt like asking you is a little too. We've been doing it so much. You asked me last week, so I figured we bring Faith into the mix this week.
Let's do it, buddy. Let's bring. Everyone's asking about Faith, so we actually, unbeknownst to her,
we did plan this.
We have been planning this for the whole week. We have 5 questions for you today, Faith. So you're going to take my seat, put on the headphones. Austin's going to ask you 5 random. Come on, everybody, bring it up. Come on,
Faith.
Come on,
Faith,
bring it on for Faith. Come on, Faith.
Faith.
You know, we can ask her. Come on, Faith. Come on, Faith. Hurry.
Yeah, we're for real. I literally have 5 questions right here for you.
Yeah, for you.
I didn't even do my hair or my makeup.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't do mine either.
Good thing you edit this.
Everybody, come on. Faith, everybody. Come on, Faith, everybody.
Woo!
You're going to be hearing from my lawyers.
Faith, everybody.
Let's go. How does it feel, Faith?
It feels awful.
So now you know how we feel.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so we just figured everyone wants to meet the person behind the camera. So we got a couple questions for you so the people at home can get to know you a little bit. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. Dad, 2 minutes on the clock.
Okay, hold on. Go.
All right, number 1. What is your favorite TV show?
Currently, Gilmore Girls.
Yep.
Which everyone that follows me on Instagram knows.
Oh, yep. We all know.
Yep.
And we know that Ethan is also a fan.
Yeah, Ethan's also a Gilmore Girls fan.
Okay, so easy. See? Number 2. What is your guilty pleasure?
Online shopping. Spending money. Anything that has to do with my paycheck going away. That's my guilty pleasure. I love to spend my money.
All right. Next, if you know Faith, you know she's a Swiftie. She's a Taylor Swift fan for sure.
Big
so,
Swiftie.
My question is, what is your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Also currently, Invisible String from Folklore.
I have no clue what that means. That means absolutely nothing to me.
Yeah.
But if you like Taylor Swift, you probably know what she's talking about.
Yeah, we can put a little clip.
There you go. Sounds
A
good.
little tune.
And by we, she means she
I mean
will
me.
put the vocal.
I mean me in post-production.
There we go. Okay, number 4. This one is completely on a different realm. But
Amazing.
if animals could talk,
Okay.
which animal do you think would be the most rude and why?
Rude. That's a hard question.
Such a random.
Rude, like a panther or something.
Oh.
They're like slicker, like a panther or a cheetah.
Yeah.
They're slick, fast, witty.
Yeah. Cheetah's
like that
like,
would be-
I'm faster than everyone. You
Yeah,
guys
for real.
suck.
They would be rude. They
Yeah.
would be the bully.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. All right, the last one. I saved the best for last, Joe. If every time you farted, a song or a jingle played, what jingle would it be?
Invisible String. I'm just kidding. I don't know, like rainbows, glitter, and money.
I like that.
Online shopping. It wouldn't even be a song.
It wouldn't even be a
like
song.
Girly things, pink nail polish and stuff.
It would be like
I'm never doing this again.
she'd fart and her butt would just say pink nail polish.
I feel so cornered. Pastor Shaun, get back here.
Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now you guys know Faith a little bit more.
I have to be honest. That was incredible. I didn't even know there was a song called Pink Nail Polish.
I was honestly expecting just like a ba-da-ba-ba-ba, but loving it. I was expecting something like that, but pink nail polish was great.
I loved it. Anything that spends money. What? What have you been eating?
Anything girly, online shopping, rainbows, Skittles. Just throwing
I
everything
didn't know
out there.
Skittles were girly. Oh my gosh.
No, but I like it now.
Now we
know.
knows Faith. Now everyone knows.
Now, if we just seen pink nail polish, you know.
Yeah. So now if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify and you hear paint nail polish, you know what happened.
Faith just crop dusted us.
Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
This is great.
Okay. Let's shift gears.
We'll dive-
Everyone knows Faith now a little bit better. This was an incredible.
This was great. We're going to have to do this more often for sure.
Props to the questions.
More often for sure.
Oh, I love catching her off guard. I can't wait till next one. Woo, this is incredible. Okay, let's jump in. Week
All right.
5,
Yep.
Afterthought. We
Week
got a little
5.
one-hit wonder this past weekend. So
Yeah, a good one.
You like
A good
it?
one. I liked it.
All right.
It was good. Okay, so question number 1. So we talked about lepers, and they're pretty unclean. So back then in biblical times, in the social hierarchy of life, where would the lepers kind of fall in that?
Lowest of the low. The thing with the understand about lepers is leprosy is it kills the nerve ending in your body. So leprosy it's not so much a skin disease as it is a nerve damaging disease, nerve killing disease. So what happens is the nerves in your body that tell you I feel pain or I feel hurt, they die. They're numb. They go away. So let's say you stub your toe. Let's say you're walking down the road and you cut your foot. Well, you would know you cut your foot because you have no nerve endings because the leprosy has killed the nerve endings. So because of that, you don't think to bandage your foot, or you don't, and so it gets infected, and then it gets it starts to deteriorate, and then that's how you lose your foot. Not because the leprosy causes your skin or your foot just to fall off, but the erosion of the infection or whatever is what causes it. So because of that, and leprosy was extremely, extremely contagious, which is why they had leper colonies. You couldn't go to the temple to worship. You couldn't be around people. As a matter of fact, if you were walking down the road and you had leprosy, you had to yell unclean so that everyone around you would know that you had leprosy to stay far, far away from you.
Dang.
So if you think about the social aspect of it, you couldn't live in your house. You couldn't be around family. If you were married, you had to leave your spouse. You had to be away from your kids. And if they came to talk to you, it was at a distance. They couldn't get close to you because it was such a contagious thing. So leprosy was lowest of the low. No one was going to touch you, which I think is pretty cool in the Bible. When Jesus healed those with leprosy, it says that he touched them, which is pretty incredible to think about it. Is number one, Jesus wasn't concerned about getting the disease because he was the cure for all disease. But I think what's pretty interesting is that the one thing they probably needed more than healing was a touch for healing. And Jesus touched them.
Yeah.
Which tells you a lot of the character about Jesus, the character of Jesus. But they're the lowest of the low. They were social outcasts, religious outcasts, physical, emotional, relational outcasts. So they were the low in society. So, basically you get leprosy, you're done. You get leprosy, you die. You get leprosy, you're isolated. So I think in our culture today, if you were to think about Mother Teresa and working with those with leprosy in Calcutta or whatever, you would understand that probably more of the effects of leprosy or the disease, we don't know much about it now, but back then, once you got it, it was a death sentence. Yeah.
Man. So with that being said, that they're the lowest of the low, what kind of does it say about us when Jesus goes to the lowest of the low to heal them, to speak to them, to go out of his way to be with them? Well, how can that encourage us today?
Man, I think what encourages me in that is that think about as much as you love your spouse or your kids, if they have leprosy, you can't go to them like you want to go to them. Even if you wanted to embrace them and hug them and speak to them, you had to be at a distance. And you didn't, even though you love them and would want to go to talk to them, you'd be in fear of your own life.
Yeah.
I think it's just such a breath of fresh air and grace into your life, the fact that Jesus would go to the one that nobody else wants to go to.
Yeah.
Even the family members who love their kids, love their brother, love their sibling, love their spouse, wouldn't go like they wanted to go because they were in fear of what can happen with the disease, that Jesus goes to the lowly of the low. Not only goes to them, but touches them. Mm-hmm. I think that should speak volumes to us. For those people that feel like, I don't belong at church, I could never go to church, you don't have any idea what I've done. Basically, you have isolated yourself from your leprosy of sin, if you will. The disease that is incurable without the blood of Jesus. So think about it from that aspect or that context. Leprosy is a skin disease, but there could be spiritual leprosy, which is a sin disease. And Jesus came to cure the sin disease. the leprosy of the soul, which distances us from God, keeps us isolated from God, keeps us away from God, which is what the devil wants. The devil doesn't want us to have the cure, because the more we distance ourselves from God, the more sin we live in, the further away we get. It's isolation from him and the relationship he wants with us as our Father. So I think that Jesus came to lift kind of the blinders, if you will, of isolation that we would have, to keep ourselves away from the Lord, that he came to bring us and restore us to. So he came to not just heal the skin disease, but the sin disease, which is what brings us back in close community with the Lord. So it should speak volumes to us that, he who was not sin became sin to take away our sin, which is pretty incredible. So it doesn't matter who you are or where you are on your spiritual journey. If you've isolated yourself from the Lord, he wants you back. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it's so easy to fall into isolation when you can mess up one time and it doesn't matter how big or how small it feels. You mess up one time, you automatically think everyone knows what happened. Everyone knows what I did. I can't see them again because they know what happened. When the truth is, we probably don't even care. I mean, that's the truth, that we might not even know. It's all in your own head, but that's enough to keep you from coming to church. But if God's going out of it, if Jesus is going out of his way for the lowest of the low, what's keeping you away from him? You know,
it goes back to like we said last week. I think people have a stereotype of church that they won't accept me how I am. Man, Jesus died for you how you are, and doesn't matter what you've done. He loves you right now where you are, but he loves you way too much to let you stay where you are. He doesn't want you to stay isolated in the leper colony. He wants to restore you and bring you back into relationship and community, because isolation is death, but community is life. And I think that that's the beautiful part of what Jesus came to do, is restore us back to God, because our spiritual leprosy is what distanced us from him.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. Question number 2. We talked about remembering where we were before Jesus so that we can live in everything that he has for us. So what is the best way for us to kind of remember where we were before Jesus so that we can remain grateful for all that he's done for us?
Man, if you look at the story, the leper that came back, it doesn't say that, if I'm remembering the story correctly, I don't think it says, maybe it says he fell at the feet of the Lord. I can't remember if he fell at the feet of Jesus. But Jesus says, stand up. When I read that story over and over and over again, I think that him falling on his face to Jesus is a posture of thankfulness, or a posture of, I recognize that I'm not who I used to be. If you think about the 10 lepers, so he heals 10 lepers. Only one comes back to thank him. Only one comes back to the healer. It says that they were healed as they went. Now, we just talked about leprosy being a skin disease. So let's imagine for a second that one of them's got a crutch because he has no leg. One of them has no arm. One of them is missing an ear. The Bible says they were restored as they went, which means if they were missing body parts, they grew them back. So they were restored. Now, I would think if I was missing an arm and I'm walking to the priest, and in faith as I walk, the Bible says they were healed, they were restored. That means that whatever you're missing begins to grow back. I would think at that point in time, you would go, wow, okay, I was just missing a leg. And I grew a leg. I've got to go back and thank the guy that gave me the leg.
Now that I can go back.
Now that I can go back, I'm not hobbling anymore. I'm sprinting back. Which is probably why I think that the one leper that went back fell at the feet of Jesus, because he recognized, oh my gosh, I'm not missing anything anymore. So I think, spiritually speaking, to answer your question, I think what we have to do is recognize on a daily basis what we were missing, we're not missing anymore. So you might have been missing salvation. You might have been missing forgiveness. You might have been missing grace. You might have been missing redemption. You might have been missing hope. But when you say yes to Jesus, all that you have been missing is given to you. So I think a way to remind ourselves on a daily basis that he is everything that we need, he's everything that we want, is that when we have Christ, we don't miss anything anymore. We have all of it. We have all of him. We don't just get a part of him, we get all of him. So I think recognizing maybe that mindset or that attitude of, I used to be hopeless, I used to be in despair, I used to be unforgiven, I used to be unsaved, I used to be going to hell, but wow, I'm not missing anything anymore. So maybe it's not a reminder of all the bad stuff you used to do, because sometimes you go down a dark path. Yeah. Just like, I did this in college. When I was 17, I did this. That can take you down a. So I'm not saying reminisce about all the past in detail things you used to do. I'm just saying remind yourself, I used to be missing a relationship with the creator of the universe, and now I have that relationship because I said yes, and it wasn't me that restored me, it was him that restored me.
Right.
That maybe that mindset or that concept.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's the whole reason why we have salvations every week going into church. That's why every time somebody raises a hand or someone gets baptized, we celebrate it. We want to celebrate it because it's a big deal. Yeah, so I love that answer. Thank you. 3, we talked about praise, and there was power in praise. So I was just wondering what kind of power does our praise hold?
Well, here's what I would say. First thing is, the devil was kicked out of heaven, and he was a worship leader, right? So you've got the devil so the devil hates, when you and I have talked about this, which is why I think the music industry, the devil uses the music industry in such a powerful way these days, because he loves music. I mean, he can initiate a move of hell. And we wouldn't even know it. Yep. I think that's how I think he works in that. I think he works creativity and from the world and things. I think, obviously the devil's at work, but he was a worship leader. And he decided to no longer give praise, but to receive it. And the minute you move from, I'm going to give the praise he deserves, to I want the praise I deserve, the minute that happens, the minute you're in trouble. Yeah. And, the Old Testament says that the Lord dealt with that faster than lightning. He dealt with the devil faster than lightning, cast him out. So what your praise is a constant reminder to the devil what he will never do again. Mm. So we will for all eternity praise the Lord in heaven. This is just practice. So the devil is constant. Number 1, he's constantly reminded by your praise what he will never do again, which drives him crazy. Number 2, when you praise, it doesn't make sense to the devil. So if you worship in the middle of your worry, or if you praise in the middle of your panic, it doesn't make logical sense to the devil. Because what he thinks is, humanly speaking, you should be freaking out right now. So how in the world are you worshiping in the midst of your devastation? Doesn't make sense. That's why Old Testament Job drove the devil crazy. Yeah. He kept trying to make excuses. Well, it's because you didn't do anything to him, Lord. Well, then do something to him, but don't kill him, for crying out loud. And Job continued to worship. So it confuses the devil. So what I would say is probably you need to see your worship as a weapon. Yeah. See your praise as power. Don't see it as I'm just singing a song, or I'm just thanking the Lord, or I'm just reading scripture with an uplifting attitude, whatever the case may be. It is, man, I am praising because it's ticking the devil off. And I'm giving God glory in the middle of all that doesn't make sense. I'm still going to worship. So I see it as, your praise as power, your praise, your worship as a weapon. We got to see it like that. I think too many people, I think too many of us, we don't praise. We pray and complain. We complain. We complain to the Lord. Yeah. It's like you're telling the Lord all that's going wrong and all that's just, and I feel like sometimes, when you and Alyssa were growing up, and if you, not that you were both complainers, but if there was ever a season where you're just kind of like, oh my man, you're like, oh my gosh, would you just stop it? My gosh, if you're ever around a complainer and all they do is complain,
you don't want to be around that person. Yeah,
just for crying out loud. And I wonder how many times when we just get into this complaining attitude to the Lord, where we're just praying and going, God's like, would you just stop and give me the praise I deserve? And I wonder how many of us haven't moved forward in the funk that we're in because we haven't learned how to praise. We've gotten really good at pouting. We've gotten really bad at praise. Yeah. And I wonder if the Lord hasn't moved us forward to initiate a move in our lives because we haven't learned how to praise in the middle of the battle.
Wow. Yeah.
Praise in the middle of the worry. So what I would suggest is maybe the way you see praise through the power of it is, instead of when you want to pout, when you want to complain, when you want to get ticked off, praise.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, either it will change your attitude, change your perspective. It may not change your situation, but it'll change how you see your situation.
For sure.
And so maybe that's the concept or the mindset that we need to move forward in with praise, is like, hey, what I want to do right now is pout. What I want to do right now is complain. But what I'm going to do is praise, which doesn't make logical sense. It ticks the devil off. It reminds him of what he will never do again. But I'm going to do it now because there's power in the praise that I give.
Yeah.
Maybe that idea, maybe that concept.
For sure. I think that's the whole reason why we have worship music. You know, you can be in the worst mood. Things could not be going your way. You put on worship music, it instantly changes because you're giving praise to the one who deserves the praise.
Yep.
That's why it's so important not to come to church late, because you miss
it.
the whole portion where we're giving God praise.
Yep.
You know, like you had that one series a little while ago about worship, and worship being the appetizer to the main course.
It
you
is,
know,
right.
If you're just getting the main course, you're not getting fed fully,
Right.
Because you're missing out the whole beginning part of the meal. If you're missing out on worship every week, you're missing out on giving praise to
That's
God,
right.
because then you can get fed. You can get the main course, but you're going to go back to complaining, like you said,
exactly,
because you're missing out on the praise aspect. So,
well, you know, I was thinking we went to dinner the other night, and if typically you don't go to, I mean, we don't really ever get appetizers. We sit down, we get the meal.
yeah,
But I love when you're a guest of someone and they invite you to. It was a really nice dinner, and they had these incredible, like, beautiful appetizers. And of course, you and I partook because
we partook in most of them.
they were wonderful appetizers.
Yeah.
And but I'm like, I'm not going to leave that on the table. That was money spent.
Yeah.
That was generosity. And it was good food. So you sit down going, I'm going to partake in this.
Yeah.
I just don't want the main course. I want all that this has to offer. And I feel like that's what happens on a Sunday, man. You got to come in going, I'm going to get there early because I want all that God has to offer. I want to give him all that I can. I want to offer myself as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing and acceptable to God. It's just not a song. It is my heart. So God, I'm not going to come in and give you a portion of my day. I'm coming in and giving you all that I have. And I think that mentality, that mindset changes the focus of maybe how you see worship or view worship or how you view God.
Yeah.
Is the kind of time or worship or praise or passion or power you give him in the middle of all you have going on.
No, I love that mindset because it's so easy to fall into, this morning was bad. It was just tough to get here this morning. That's why I missed it. Or this week was rough. It's just hard to listen to praise music and be up. I'd just rather sit down and listen. Well, that's the whole reason that you need to be here for the praise and worship.
Exactly.
So I love that mindset. Okay, so next question. How does living a life of constantly thanking Jesus flood into our everyday lives?
Okay, so here's something interesting. When I how are we doing the camera, Faith? Good. Okay. When I looked at the word thankful, I know what thankful means. What would you say thankful means? What would be your definition of thankful?
Thankful is having gratitude for something, is what I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
So we know what thankfulness is.
Yeah.
Thankful. I wanted to know the definition of it.
Okay.
Right? So I looked up in Webster's dictionary the definition of thankful. So thankful, it says gratitude, but then it says relieved. Then it says pleased, relief. So the definitions of thankfulness are pleased, relief, grateful, relieved. I would have never thought in a million years thankfulness meant relief or relieved.
Yeah.
So the idea at the root of thankfulness is I have nothing to stress over anymore. So
that's good. Yeah.
So I think we have this idea when we come before God that we have to, it's like the thankfulness I give. Oh, God, I'm so grateful for you. No, God, I'm relieved that you saved me from hell.
Yeah.
I have relief that I don't have to struggle on a daily basis wondering what will be because you came to give me the life that I've always desired that didn't even know I needed.
Yep.
It is like a breath of fresh air. It is like after you finish a race, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful the race is done.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not. So I think our mindset of gratitude is, I've got to tell God how great he is on a daily basis. Is that a part of that? Yes. But thankfulness is also, God, I'm just relieved that I'm not going to hell anymore. I am relieved that I am a whole person because you made me a whole person. I am relieved that I don't have to worry about sin because you came to cover my sin. You know what I mean? So it's like that. So I think maybe having a different mindset of thankfulness, of that idea of just like, oh, God, you're a breath of fresh air to my life.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I am thankful. I am thankful. I am thankful. I am full of thanks. I'm so relieved that you radically saved me because I couldn't save me.
Mm-hmm.
So God, thank you for being a breath of fresh air. I think maybe that idea, or that maybe a new definition, if you will, maybe a new concept of thankfulness will change how we thank God, and just go, man, God, I don't know what to say right now. It just
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's a good way to kind of check if we actually are thankful, if we're doing it just to check it off a list. If we feel the relief of it, if we feel the peace behind what we're actually saying, you're doing it for the right purpose.
Yeah.
It's not just be like, thank you, God. Okay, check that off today. Because I know I can fall into that sometimes. Like, okay, I got to say thank you to God today because I am grateful for what he's done. But it's not with that relief behind it, It's just to kind of check it off the board for the day.
Think about it with Marissa, with your wife. You're thankful for her, but why are you thankful for her? Probably because of what she does for you.
Right.
How she loves you, but how she shows you that love.
Right.
How she takes care of you, how she takes care of Levi, how she, the things that she does, you probably don't think to yourself, man, I'm relieved that I have a wife that is so incredibly grace-filled and loving. You don't think about it as relieved or relief.
Right.
But what she does is, the partnership of marriage is, she takes the stress off of you, so now you don't have it all on your own. She helps complete you. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of a relationship with Christ, is we're thankful, we're relieved because I was fighting to exist and you came to let me live.
Right.
So it's that mindset, or that idea that, wow, God, I have life today. Mm-hmm. And man, I'm just relieved that you complete what I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love the mindsets that we're getting today that we can just live in.
Love
it's
it.
Good. It's good.
That'd be a great series to live in ... and live in his peace, live in his love, live in his grace. It's not just that we wake up on a daily basis and exist in it for a second.
Yeah.
We live in it for eternity. That's going to be heaven.
Yeah.
It's not so we start it now, but live in would be a great series.
I love that. Write that down, Faith.
Okay. Next question. Next week, Faith.
All right, last question.
Okay.
How do we do the dance of receive and return without just returning things, giving things away because we know we want something in return, if that makes sense?
It does make sense. And I said it this weekend, but I've never had a sermon where I made a point like, do the dance of, what the heck, Shaun, do that. And the reason why was because when I read the story of the lepers or whatever, he is given and he comes back to thank. Mm-hmm. There's something there that's that handoff. Jesus says in Matthew, give and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together. Give and it will be given. It's this idea of a dance. And if you've ever, I remember in middle school slow dancing with somebody, and they have fast music and everybody's like, and it's like, okay, let's slow it down. And then you're going, oh my gosh, this is the middle school weird, step.
The full arms
what I'm talking about? It's just like, here we go, step and step and step. And you got to have one person leading. You can't have two people can't lead. She can't lead. I can't lead. There's got to be somebody leading.
Yeah.
And even though you're in middle school, you don't know exactly what to do. There is a flow. And when you're out of flow.
Yeah.
You know when you're out of sync. You know when you're like, okay, here's the deal. You're not following. So, because then the music gets awkward and you start sweating. And I think that's the idea of the receive and return to the Lord, is this dance that it's like, man, he's leading and I'm following. He gave and I will give. He received and he gave to me. I received. Now I will return. There's a dance in that. And I think what happens to us in our relationship with God is we get out of sync because we try to take the lead.
Yeah, that's good.
And God's not going to fight you on it. He's not going to fight you on it. God will not take anything from you that's not already his. That will be stealing, and he doesn't steal. It's not in his nature. He can't steal. So if God takes something from you, it's because it was his to begin with, and he's wanting probably to remind you it was his to begin with.
Yeah.
So God took this from me. Well, no, it's actually, if you have the mindset that it's his, it might help you in the dance of receive and return a little bit more graciously.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea that I'm trying to get across to our church. It's like, man, do I have to tithe? No, man, you get to. It's the dance. It's the dance of grace. You know, I have to serve. No, you get to serve. It's the dance of grace. Man, I have to be in a crew. No, you get to be in a crew.
Yeah.
I have to be on a ministry team. No, you get to be in it's the dance. And God's going, if you don't want to, then don't. I'm trying to lead, and I want you to follow. There's a dance in that it's the music of grace that plays into your life. That's, man, I blessed you, now be a blessing to others.
Yep.
I gave to you, now give to others. Man, you receive, now return it. And so I think if we get out of step in that dance, it messes up the sync of life, and we're just going, what's going on? Where's the music of life? Well, you killed it because you're trying to lead the dance instead of letting God lead the dance.
Yep.
And so that's that idea of just like, man, allow the rhythm of your life with the pattern of Christ to always take control. Let him take control, and you just follow. And it's so much easier when you just follow.
Right.
It's like sometimes as the dude like leading the dance, you're like, I don't know exactly what to do.
What are we doing?
It's so much easier
Yeah.
if someone else leads you. So like, let the Lord lead you and stop trying to fight him on the dance.
For sure. No, I love that. It's kind of like when a coach, you're like, do we really have to practice today? Do we really have 2-a-days? No, we get to have 2-a-days. And you're just like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it's so true, because when the season comes around, you are thanking the Lord that you had that extra conditioning, you had the extra practice, so you know what you're doing. It's the same thing. I think it's so cool that even when we're giving back, God is still giving to us in that moment.
Yep, exactly.
Because we're giving back, but we don't know the gifts that we're receiving, the things that we're learning, everything that God is setting us up for another situation in the future.
Have you seen that cartoon where the Lord has this like gigantic teddy bear behind him, and this girl's in front of him with like a small one in her hand?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, hey, can I have that? And you see, it's like, she's like, I don't know. If you only knew what I had in store for you, if you only knew what I wanted to give to you, I just need you to give me that first.
That paints such a good picture.
And I think that's that idea, that concept that, man, if we only knew, it's like the 2-a-days. It's like we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And how quickly we forget, because you played football before, but season after season, you're like, why are we doing 2-a-days? And then you get to the first day and you're like,
goes into double overtime. You're like, okay, I would be dying right now if it wasn't.
Okay, so I need to listen to the coach. He might have known. Was it
Yep.
hard in practice? You better believe it was hard. But now, oh my gosh, the game is paying
Paid off.
off. And I think that's a great illustration that sometimes we just don't understand. Why is God asking this of me? Why am I not in the season that I want to be in, or why am I not getting blessed how I want to get blessed? And God's going, I need you to hold on.
Yeah.
It's a 2-a-day right now, but you got a big game coming, and you'll be so glad you participated in a 2-a-day.
Yep.
And that's a great way to look at it, a great illustration, because you want to be in the game, but you don't want to be sucking wind in the game.
Right. You want to be thriving in the game. Yeah.
100%. And the coach notices who the ones are that actually legitimately practiced, and he can see in the field who didn't.
Yep. For sure. No, that's great.
So, any other questions?
That's it. That's all I had today.
Man, pretty good. We got Faith on here. We had some great questions. I think it's so funny. Every time I say lepers, I think leopards.
I do too.
Isn't it so funny? Because when you asked me the question, I wanted to say, oh, he changed their spots. But it's just like, it's so funny. Because lepers, you have to accentuate the lepers and not leopards. Because I wonder how many people are listening to the podcast and are going, they just did a whole 30-minute podcast
About leopards.
What is wrong
This
with
is Anchor Nat
church?
Geo.
What in the world is going on? National Geographic in the house.
Oh yeah.
Well, part 5, Afterthought. Great, man. I love it. Receive and return.
Receive and return.
Well, let us know how you liked it today, and make sure you join us every single Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. Make sure you start commenting. We like the comments.
We like the comments.
Send some more questions.
Dude,
we like
you're
it.
getting crazy good comments. People love. I'm going to start just asking Austin questions about my sermon. Hey, what did I say with point number 2? See how he likes it.
No, please don't.
Man, we love you all. Have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
Well, hopefully you loved this episode. If you did, we want to know all about it. So join us on Spotify, like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. This is where you need to be all the time.
Make sure you check us out every Wednesday. There's going to be an episode every Wednesday. So check us out here. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when we post again.
That's right. Afterthought.